What's up, everybody? Shawn here, back with another Live to Roll Live. This week, we're continuing our spinal cord injury awareness month topics with pretty much the most talked about, asked about issue, the biggest issue most of us deal with in our daily lives is bowel and bladder management. So let's get into some intros and then we'll get into that fun and shitty topic. uh, my name is Shawn. I am a C5, C6 quad from a snowboarding accident 18 years ago. Tom, go for it, man.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tom Conaway, C6B, quadriplegic, paralyzed 25 years ago from an automobile accident. Bobby?
Hey, thanks a lot, Tom. Welcome back, everyone. Make sure you hit that like button once you get in here and enjoy the show. My name is Bobby Rohan. I'm a C56 quad of 33 years from a bicycle accident. But enough about me. Let's get to our guests and have them introduce ourselves. We haven't seen them in a while, but glad to have them back. Our Chicago ladies, Ashley and Nikki.
Hi, I'm Ashley.
I'm Nikki.
I'm a C4 quad from a car accident in 2019.
A T6.
And anybody that doesn't know, Ashley and Nikki are great friends of the family.
They are the
They're
family.
not, they are the family. I was going to say great friends of the show. They're our Chicago family. They were always on the Lady Show and regular guests on here to inspire and spreading their amazing experiences with all of us. So big shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for having coming on, hanging out with us.
Yeah, we've been missing having them on our show, so we need to get them back on the regular Tuesday show.
That's right. So how do we want to start this off, Shawn? How's your bladder and bowel band recently? We've
Uh,
talked about it pretty regularly on the show, but how you been? What's your routine? What are you doing?
I'm okay. Let's get in. I'll do bladder first, and then maybe we can do bowel like
Yeah.
after, I guess. So for bladder, I manage with a suprapubic catheter, and that was actually the choice I made early on because of my friend Bobby here, who helped me in the hospital. It just kind of like gave me some advice, told me what he was doing, talked to some other quads, and it just seemed like a good option for being independent as a quad. Because for me, with the suprapubic, I can have a leg bag that I can then personally empty myself. I can switch to a bedside bag. I can pretty much manage everything on my own, except for the changing the catheter. I don't do that on my own. I might be able to, but I'm just not gonna try. Um, that I do every 3 weeks, and I just had done today. So I'm having a little bit of AD today. Like if you guys see my face look a little flushed or like just look a little funny, that's because I'm getting some autonomic dysreflexia and not feeling the best. And that just happens regularly with me. That's just a normal. The first 24 hours of my catheter change is always a little bit rough. So.
And you've been doing that since the beginning for like 18 years?
And I have, yeah. So in the very beginning, I did try intermittent cathing. Like I had in the very beginning, they were just doing that. Nursing was doing that. Um, and that I just didn't want to do because I couldn't do it on my own very well. I was struggling trying to figure it out with my hands, and I wanted to be independent. Like I wanted to be able to do stuff on my own. Uh, so I actually tried condom caths as well. Had a lot of issues with those the first few months out of the hospital. I just would constantly have them come off or just loosen and end up leaking, and I'd just be covered in pee for the day, and just too many days of that. Like even when I wasn't having bladder issues, I could have the catheter issues, and it would come apart and peeing on myself. So, um, yeah. So I ended up doing the super pubic after talking to Bobby and some people. And honestly, like the first few months, I was kind of not happy about it just because of it looked weird, like this foreign thing. I was like, oh my God. I was 21 years old. I was like, dude, what is this thing I put in my body? But after, like, I kind of got over that after a couple of months. And I think, like, just part of it was like the whole like sexual side of things, like, and like being with a partner, I was too afraid of what that was gonna like, what they were gonna say. But once I realized that that wasn't much of an issue, then like yeah, I just kind of have gotten very comfortable with it. I am happy with the decision. I think it was a great decision for me personally. Um, and I don't, tell quads that's what they should do. But when I do meet newer injuries and stuff, like I let them know what I did. So and I let them know my journey, so that they can like just take that information and make their own decisions. It's kind of what we
It's
all.
that's like my prejudice against like the super pubic from the start was like having something like permanently indwelling and like kind of always there, not being able to take it out, not like how that might affect me moving and stuff, like just independence wise, but also just always having something there. Um, I don't do indwelling. Like I do intermittent cathing, but not through my urethra, through urostomy, which is just like a port that was like surgically placed in my abdomen. And it's similar to urethra. It's like made up of similar tissue, and I actually catheterized through it. Um, Again, that was a solution to make me more independent and functional in my day-to-day life, and it was the thing that really like changed my life independence wise. Once I realized I could like pee on my own, I was like, I think I can figure everything else out. And it was like a pretty intense thing to change and start to do, but it was also an option that meant I didn't have to have something indwelling, like a super pubic. Again, I know it's so many people that have that with success and long-term success. That was like kind of the other thing that was like in my brain. I was like, gosh, like, is that a permanent solution? Like, how long would that be effective? But Bobby and Shawn will tell you that it is an effective long-term solution if you are healthy and take care of things the right way. And similarly with, my urostomy and stuff, like it doesn't come without a lot of maintenance with my bladder, and that like I have to do bladder irrigations. I have to, still drink a lot, make sure that the environment in my bladder is healthy, don't have infections, because I'm still catheterizing and introducing outside bacteria regularly, which may be even more so than an indwelling suprapubic system that's totally changed every few weeks. Although, it can still be issues with bacteria and stuff. Any kind of catheter, that's just the nature of the situation. But that's my situation. It works really great for me. I'm dealing with a little bit of the side effects of like aging with disability, and that like my bladder has changed a little bit. I think I've maybe developed like a little pocket where the catheter likes to go, and I'm not really draining, I feel like, effectively as of late. I'm also having some issues with some bladder stones, which I've never dealt with in the last 25 years of being paralyzed, but seems to be something that might be a regular thing. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. It might just be my anatomies, slightly changing, and that like cathing, for a decade might have created a false passage where there's a lot of mucus getting stuck and built up, and just is creating the issue for me and stuff. What that solution is, I'll update you guys in the future. I'm like working with my urologist right now to kind of understand the changes that are going on with my body. But I'm stable. I'm not dealing with any significant discomfort in terms of dysreflexia or anything. It's just kind of a day-to-day thing, navigating it and navigating the changes that come along with it. But if it's all right, Bobby, since you deal with the super pubic situation, can we toss it over to our guests?
Well,
Nick,
I do have one question for you, Tom, or
yeah,
two questions. How long after your injury did you get your
I
procedure?
did intermittent cathing for 13 years, and then I had a neurogenic bladder, which, as it was explained to me, it's a side effect of my paralysis at a young age, in that my bladder didn't grow appropriately with the rest of my body for whatever reason. Some part of the paralysis caused that neurogenesis with that part, that organ, and they had to make it bigger. So I had to get bladder augmentation, which they were just going to take some tissue they ended up doing it from my small intestine because it's similar tissue that They can sew onto the bladder and it'll grow onto it. I had to get that surgery no matter what. And my urologist, Dr. Baskin at UCSF, recommended this thing. It's called the Mitrofanoff procedure, which is exactly what I described. It's like a little port in my abdomen. Sometimes they put it in your belly button. Mine's like right next to my belly button. It's barely noticeable. It just looks like another little belly button, honestly. And I catheterize through it, and it's a port that goes to my bladder. And the way they built it with the tissue, it's one way. You can push the catheter in, but any reverse pressure from the bladder closes off the tissue and doesn't, like, nothing even leaks out of it. It can
That's
be real
interesting.
pain. Like if I used to leak early on when I first got the procedure, they had to do some Botox to get things right, but it was only a one-time thing. I didn't have to repeat it. And I don't know, it's a blessing and a curse because if my bladder fills up, I won't leak and I'll just get AD and die if I don't take care of it. But it because like I won't leak, like nothing will leak out, and it's kind of scary, TBH, because Shawn, we can't
Not
hear
even
you.
your regular urethra will kick off, like your.
Nope. They Botox that too. And a little bit if I get really extreme bladder spasms, a little bit of leakage in my urethra, but nothing meaningful if like I'm super AD and like, at the point where I'm discomforted, like I have to find some way to cath and relieve. But yeah, I did intermittent cathing for the first 13 years and then changed it up in high school to cath independently. And the doctor recommended it. And thank goodness for Dr. Baskin because it was really a life changer. And he knew it talking to me. He was like, hey, you're this age, this would be really great for you. And he convinced me. And it was not a really fun procedure, but we don't got to get into that. No procedures are.
And JJ Mick, it is the Mitrofanoff, right?
Yeah,
Or
it is. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
so
a
it
Mitrofanoff
is
procedure.
Mitro.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's how you say it. But it is that
And
procedure, yes.
I don't know, like the part, like the way that it's been described to me by doctors and nurses is called a urostomy, which is just like it's like a colostomy, which is a port to your intestine. Or that this is a urostomy, which is similar. It's like a port to your bladder, but there's nothing indwelling. It means I can catheterize through it intermittently. So very cool, very unique. Okay. Now over to our guests, Nikki and Ashley. Do you guys mind talking about how you handle the catheterizing situation?
You wanna go first? Go. Go for it. Go.
Who's going first?
Okay, so
Ashley, you got this. Let's go.
let's think. So at the moment, I honestly just for the past, because I've only been injured for like 3.5 years. I've only been intermittent cathing. I tried. I don't even remember what was it called. Do you remember what it was called? What I did? Oh, a Foley catheter, but I was ADing way too much, so I took that shit out.
Yep.
So, and then I also, this might be TMI, but I really don't like my urologist, so I'm gonna like work to try to find a new one because I would like to figure out a different bladder situation. But at the moment, intermittent works for me, and yes, I do leak. It's embarrassing. No one likes to talk about that shit, but it's what happens. Fuck side life. But
And it's definitely not TMI. We really appreciate you sharing. And, like I said before, like I only feel, comfortable to share whatever you want to. There's no pressure to share beyond whatever you guys are comfortable with. This is like a tough thing to talk about. But getting a bad urologist, a doctor you're not comfortable with, is a really hard thing because it can be difficult to change. It's not always easy to explain why this person maybe isn't a good doctor. Maybe they are a good doctor, but they're just not good for you. They're not vibing with you. They don't understand your situation. But it's very, very important information to talk about because a lot of people are stuck in that situation. I've talked to a couple people from our community who have reached out to me in that exact situation where it's like, I have a urologist. I don't feel like they have a comprehensive understanding of paralysis and like the effects that it has on your urology. So taking the steps to do that can be great. It can be really tough. Um, it usually comes down to speaking to your primary doctor, and or your insurance, sometimes both, in order to get it switched. But don't even feel obligated to like reach out to the urologist if you're not comfortable with them, because it's like all right as a patient to decide our physician, and especially if it's your network has more than one, really talk to and specify the need and necessity of getting someone who has experience with paralysis and spinal cord injury. It can be so hard to get that message across to insurances. I ended up having to go to UCSF, which is like, University Hospital in San Francisco, and now I'm over at Cal Rehab, which is like works very closely with UCLA and like these big university hospitals and stuff. And it took me a couple of years in both instances in NorCal and Southern California to get to where I needed to go, but it's really, really worth the fight once you can get the right kind of help and care. So, yo, Ashley, we'll work on that. And if you like are running into some walls, like let us know, because I have a lot of experience trying to navigate that too.
Okay, period.
And then the embarrassment of, I don't know, like I dealt with accidents and leaking for most of my adolescent life. It stopped like right as soon as I left high school, which is like, god damn it! Like I wish I didn't have to like pee myself like in front of my friends 100 times. And it was super embarrassing and super hard, and I took certain measures and steps to like protect my dignity in some instances. And there's lots of solutions, and it can be super embarrassing, to use like briefs and pads and things like that. But if it, can help make you feel better, prevents you from like having an accident that's, you know, embarrassing publicly and stuff, it can be a solution, like a viable solution, and something that we shouldn't feel embarrassed or ashamed about, because it's just life. It's regular life. A lot of people I will like deal with incontinence issues, wheelchair or not. It's like a very regular thing, and it's unfortunately like a hard one. And I don't know how, like I didn't necessarily overcome it. Like I still have issues with accidents and stuff all the time, and it's a struggle. I try to just prepare for the worst all the time and plan for the best.
I'm literally
Just
peeing on myself right now. The 80 because of the catheter. See,
and like that, like that's it. That's it. Like that's life. It's so I don't know. Like again, there's no magic words that can be said, I think, to make someone necessarily feel better about like the embarrassing nature of dealing with that kind of stuff. But it do always say like preparation is key. Preparation is key. If I'm going out for a long day and I'm not feeling comfortable, with my bathroom, my care in the morning or whatever, like I will bring extra clothes with me. I will bring whatever supplies I might need, even if I'm going to a situation where I know I could probably never take care of myself. It's like I don't care. Like I want to at least have this stuff with me in the event that, like, I don't know, it just gives me security. It makes me feel better, especially if you are traveling with a caregiver and stuff. Just plan for situations, and 99% of the time, you won't have to deal with it. And the 1% of the time that you do, it you're prepared for it. And it's that security that can give you confidence to, go out and navigate the world a little bit more confidently. So that's how I do it. I don't know. It's just some tips and tricks. Okay, back to you, Nikki. You're up.
So I intermittent calf. I learned to calf myself pretty early on in my injury, and let me think. Sorry to begin. So probably like a year after my injury, I got Botox because I was having leakage, like a lot. It helped a little, but I don't really think it helped a lot. Still working with my personal urologist to figure out like ideas, but something that I found work was like in the hospital when I was in rehab, they told me to catheterize like every, oh my God, what is it they say, 4 to 6 hours?
I think so.
And I kind of learned my body over the years, and to like avoid accidents, I noticed I have to do it at least every 3. Like 4 is pushing it, 6 is pushing it. And
Yeah.
I know I do have a neurogenic bladder. Like I never knew what that meant, but that's what my neurologist says. So when I heard Tom talking about it, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So um I know that also plays a role. Also as like a female, since I guess we are the female perspective here. Um when you get your lady friend, it's also very different. And like Tom
Oh, I
said,
didn't talk about
you have to
that.
like plan around it. Like I definitely know like if I'm about that's about to happen, I the plans are different. Maybe I'll cancel things. Maybe I don't want to do as much because I know the accidents are they're just going to happen whether I like it or not. The
Yeah.
having to use the bathroom is more frequent. Like I'm on it this week. I have to go like every 2 hours. And it's just like it's just that's like something taught but I plan for it and that's something that I just learned. I plan around honestly
Yeah.
everything. Even feel like have to calf a lot sometimes. And I just try to plan around it, pack my bag for it, and go on with the day. Well, that's kind
And
of
you,
did it. Sorry.
no, no, please, nothing to apologize for, you guys. It's all very real. And yo, fellas out there, you ain't no shit. These
Yeah,
ladies, gotta deal with the real stuff out here, okay? Oh,
I
it's
forgot about the
it's
whole
not so
extra thing
easy.
to deal with. Like that's a whole nother matter.
Yeah.
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 Um, I like to,
Something.
sorry, Kit Kat, if this is like not respectful, I'm trying to be 100% respectful. But
No, I'm open.
my girlfriend, she's a quadriplegic too, and she has to deal with that same thing. And I just didn't know before. Like I did not realize, like especially like the toll it takes on your body as a quad. Like having to deal with like cramps and like pains and discomforts and stuff below your level of injury that like manifest in like really like fuck you up.
Yeah.
So like shout out to all the ladies out there that have to deal with that extra stuff because it is real and it's again not a huge part of our community that's like represented. 80% of SCIs are males, only 1 out of 5 are women. So thankfully there's been a lot more representation thanks to ladies like Nikki and Ashley out here, always representing and setting an awesome example of like badass like ladies in chairs like doing it and living. But there's also more research and more products and more tools and stuff being developed in that space to make dealing with things like that easier, where 10, 20 years ago not much existed. So definitely are some resources out there if you are in a position where you maybe not finding those resources or not finding much. Reach out to Nikki and Ashley, reach out to us, or reach out to Brianna,
Yeah, I
the
was just
lady
saying
show.
Brianna's in the chat too,
uh,
Yeah.
so reach out to Brianna.
I
Brianna
miss
out here. um,
I'm
and
sorry.
we will try to do what we can to point you in the right direction and pr- give you some meaningful information. um, what about bladder infections? You guys deal with UTIs often, regularly, at all?
I definitely like when I first got injured, I dealt with UTIs like way too much. It was very frustrating and annoying. Um, I'm not really want to take pills, so I was like hesitant to always take the antibiotics time and time again. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I learned for me personally was I kind of had to change up my diet a little bit, change up like the way that I kind of nurtured, I guess, my body because it had an effect. And also, I had learned I needed to catheterize more because in the beginning I wasn't cathing a lot. I used to have Coca Cola about every day. I quit that. Sad face. And it was just like things like that that I had to stop doing and learn to like I don't know. I really had to learn my body, and now I haven't knock on wood. I haven't had one in like 6 months. So okay, looking
Well, that's
forward.
super awesome. The main reason I ask you guys is because it's one of the biggest like problems that plagues newly injured individuals is UTIs. It's just what you said, adjusting and finding that new balance with like, okay, here's what my bladder needs to be healthy and feel good. Like I can't stray too far, like in a different direction. Like for me, it's just what you said, soda pop, like a lot of, sugary drinks, which I
Sure,
think is really
yes.
the dehydration that comes along with that. And then alcohol. Alcohol will fuck me up. And for like days and weeks, pardon my French, but I had to emphasize it. And I still do, drink socially, from time to time, but now it's once every couple months instead of once every couple weeks.
So
Um,
I was gonna say too, one of the reasons why I'm having a little bit even worse of a day than I normally do, I think, for my catheter change and the AD, I think I might have given myself a little UTI because on Sunday, a couple days ago, I got invited last minute to go to the Chargers game with our
Oh,
friends from Triumph Foundation, and I'll shout out our sponsors too, Mobility Professionals, Urology Professionals, Dean, and I'm an idiot. I of course I had a beer with everybody, and then they brought me
ah,
some fruity, icy little drink with alcohol. I don't even know what kind of alcohol was in it, but it tasted strong. Uh, so I
those
know
are the best
I
ones.
could feel it the next day, and even today. I'm like my body's not quite right. So I
Yeah.
know. I'm hoping with the catheter change, I'm gonna drink a ton of water today, do D monos and cranberry, and hope I can flush this thing out.
And the and then the other thing that Ashley just did was like held up her drink and took a sip off of it is hydration. Like staying
yeah.
hydrated is like the number one thing to improving your bladder health. I have not found a single better solution than when I'm feeling discomfort in my bladder than just chugging a couple bottles of water, like every couple hours, a few days in a row. Like seriously, just like flushing my bladder out. And I'm not talking about like irrigating it or anything, like just flushing out like from drinking it and just cathing and peeing. What you're doing is you're just reestablishing the right environment. You're washing away all the bacteria. You're not letting any more grow and develop and like sit, because when you're not cathing and you're not drinking, that's what's happening. And yeah, just drink, 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 drink. That's not saying antibiotics aren't necessary and helpful and meaningful at times, because UTIs
Yeah.
can't get out of hand where there's not something you can drink away with some H2
Yeah.
flow.
I
You
def
have to go
I
ahead.
definitely feel like it's like learning your body because at first I was always wanting antibiotics. Like, oh, I was scared because, I hear you could die from them. But then my doctor was like, I think I'm gonna stop. She was the one who was like, I'm stop giving you antibiotics and I want you to try to just like
Drink
change
some
things up a
water.
little bit. Yeah, drink water, change like your diet up a little bit and um, that's what I started to do, and it kind of helped a lot. Like, and drinking a lot of water. Like, in the minute I felt like I had one coming, like listening to my body, I just would drink water and try to
Flush it
flush it
out.
out.
Cranberry juice.
Yeah, I think
See,
that
cranberry
helps
didn't
a
really work
lot.
for me.
Oh.
Cranberry doesn't work for me either. Neither does Demonos. Now, I'm not sure. I literally can't drink that much cranberry juice. Like, I'm just sick of it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to sit there and drink a gallon of cranberry juice. And I've taken the Demonos and haven't noticed any real difference. Now, I'm not knocking it because I know people that swear by that stuff. And what we're talking about is Demonos is what's present inside of cranberry juice, which helps prevent
Yes.
UTIs and infections. How it does that, I've spoke on it incorrectly on the show before and been corrected by someone in the chat. So if someone knows the exact mechanism in which DMonos operates, please share. I really love to be reminded, but I can't confidently speak on it. All that I know is it helps not allow the bacteria to take hold and survive in your bladder.
Yeah, I know it's
Um,
just an extract from the sugar from that comes from cranberry, and
yep.
yeah, it's just a lot more effective than cranberry at flushing things out. Um, Bobby, you wanna?
One thing I was going to say is, one thing that I finally had to get to is treat the patient, not the symptoms, or treat the symptoms, not the numbers. So a lot of times I'm like, ooh, yeah, I got I have a UTI, and then for a long time I had a certain antibiotic, and I never finished it. And then all of a sudden I got another one. Then I had all these reserves. So anytime I felt like I had something, I would take antibiotics. And then the next day it would be gone. And I would do it like maybe one or two more times just to make sure it was out of me. I never went the whole 7 days. Now, you should, if you do have a nasty anything, you should take the full 7 days. Don't do what I did. I was just taking it as a band aid, probably. And then over time, that antibiotic wasn't working. And now the last 5 years is my urologist will be always just tell me, because what would happen is I think I got something, shoved down the water. I'm a big water, and one thing I did was overdo water throughout my 33 years until about 4 years ago. It turned out like I'm feeling lethargic, not all with it, and my sodium level was down to 123, 122, and it should
You
be
were
above,
washing out all your
yeah.
minerals.
So it should be above 133 is what it should be at. And so now if I do have to shove the water, I shove the water with Pedialyte. So now I'm also getting a big bottle of Pedialyte, putting in that hydration back into me, the sugar that I sort of need, the good sugars, not the crappy ones you get from soda and all the other stuff. So I put in that back into me, and the electrolytes especially, and that seemed as all of a sudden now I'm bringing my numbers back up, and they're at 133. So that's one thing. And now with the antibiotics, it's usually like, okay, I think I have a UTI. Let's send this culture off, get it read. And then my doctor will call me. He goes, what's your symptoms? And I'm like, I don't have any. He goes, you have a bad UTI, but you're not shivering. You're not shaking. You're not having your typical spasm that you know that you have. Keep going. Let's not give you antibiotics. So that's how it's been for me and my urologist, working with him one-on-one. And finally, we got down to, I haven't had antibiotics for a UTI in over 4 years.
Same. It's been a couple of years for me too.
That's all.
And I just want to take a second to shout out everybody in our chat. Yo, what up, Roy? What up, B Breezy? Yo, Paralife, Christina, Quad Life, Rihanna, Peter, everybody, Andrew, the 29 people watching. We appreciate you guys so much. Please, if you guys are willing and want to, no pressure, share how you deal with this urinary stuff. You cath, super pubic. How successful are you with it? We are all just trying to share and help each other out, so we appreciate you guys interacting in the chat. It's so fun. And pardon me if I look a little zoned out, like I'm just trying to read all of it as it goes by. I need to get some reading glasses.
We need some
um,
big monitors for Live to Roll, the fam.
yeah, I know we're. Oh, don't worry, dude. I'm about to get a new one. It's gonna be my little birthday present to myself. That's off topic though. We're talking about bladder stuff. Don, come on.
Oh, you kill me.
While we're slightly sidetracked, I just want to actually take a quick second, and I shouted them out real quick, and that's actually took me to the football game. Our sponsors, Mobility Professionals. So let's shout them out, because not only do they support us on the show, Live to Roll, they support Triumph. They just support us in the community. They're awesome companies. So Mobility Professionals is based here in Southern California. If you're anywhere in the Southern California area looking for a new wheelchair, standing frame, commode chair, anything like that, give them a call. Their info is all down in the description below there. And then the Urology Professionals is their sister company, and they're nationwide. So if you need catheter supplies, give them a call anywhere in the country. They can take care of you. They'll make sure your insurance works, and as long as everything goes, they'll take care of everything for you. And they're great people, not just a good companies.
And it's what we're talking about today.
And
Urology
urology and the
professionals.
catheters, that's exactly it.
They
Having
are
a good
a.
company helps a lot. If you're not getting the right supplies, like that's
And we'll talk about that right after we do this little ad break. But Urology Professionals is a great company that will help figure out your urological supply needs, whatever they are. They'll work with your insurance company. They'll figure out what your needs are, from you and your doctor, and they'll make them all work. And check them out. They're national, so anywhere you are in the U.S., if you're struggling. Just give them a call. Let them know Live Troll sent you, and they'll take care of you, give you some extra love. And yo, what up, Anthony, dude? It's great to see you, bro. It's one of our Houston homies. I gotta reach out to you, man. I hope you're good. And
Yeah, it's cool seeing all the people in the chat that we have met over the summer
I
at the
know,
different expos and stuff. So
including Nikki and Ashley, our guests. We got to hang out with them. They hosted us in their hometown.
I know.
Well,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
I can't wait till we get to actually hang out in person again. But that's what it was. I kind of felt spoiled because we got back-to-back hangouts almost. Like we got to hang out in Chicago, and then I got to see him one
Yeah.
more time
I
for
was
another quick like little session and day, which that was just kind of short. But still, I was like, it felt like I was gonna see you guys a lot, and then I'm like, now I'm not gonna
Right.
see you.
It was a tease.
I
what
know.
up? What up, Titus? How's it going, man?
So yeah, you
And
guys want to cover anything else on bladder before we
just
switch?
that last little topic we touched on is catheter supplies. It can be really weird in living in America these days. And I'm not trying to get political, you guys, I promise. This isn't about that. But I have spoken to a lot of paras and quads that have had difficulty getting regular supplies, especially if they're newly injured and like coming out of the rehab, space and home and figuring it out for the first time. And that is probably when it's most important that you have lots of supplies and extra supplies and maybe supplies you don't even realize that you need. um, but the way that it works is coming out of rehab before you leave the hospital. Before you leave the hospital, it really should be taken care of. Your insurance should be set up with a company like uh, Urology Pros, but they are considered, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby. Is like DME considered like for medical supplies as well?
No.
No? Okay. So medical supplies is
Yeah.
different. So
DME is durable medical equipment. So durable.
yeah, the only reason I say that is my company here in Southern California, Western Drug, they give me my DME equipment except for my wheelchair, like my Hoyer lift, like shower chair, stuff like that. And then they also give me my catheter supplies. Um, Essentially you're just looking for a medical supply company that specializes in that, trades in that, and sets up regular monthly allotments of your supplies based on what your doctor orders. For me, my doctor has to order it once a year. And it lasts for that 12 months, and I get my monthly supplies. I get, ho- however many, it's like a few hundred self catheter kits, and that's it. Um, if you don't have supplies, please prioritize that. Even if you are on the most basic, like public health insurances, I think anywhere in the U.S., like it is your right to have access to that. The only problem is sometimes they don't help you get it set up, and they don't tell you that you're eligible for that kind of stuff. So it comes down to you to do the research, to make the phone calls, to speak to your doctor, speak to your insurance, whatever it is, Medi-Cal, Medicare, and figure it out. If you are struggling, again, reach out to us and we'll help you. And if you need supplies in the interim, if you're changing supplies, maybe you don't have the right kind of supplies, we do an equipment exchange out here with the Triumph Foundation. They have a website where they post extra supplies and stuff that people have, things like that. Might be a resource. Again, there are lots of organizations too that might be able to step in the interim. It just is always a very heartbreaking thing for me, because I've never been without catheters, and I honestly can't imagine like what that feels like to have to cath and not have the tools to. It's like very scary. It feels like very, very weird to me in the modern era that we're living in. So if you're finding yourself in that situation, please reach out, or do whatever we can to try to remedy it, because again, it's our basic human right. It's how we stay healthy. It's like having the tools and the supplies we need to be successful. Okay, we talked a lot about bladder stuff. We want to jump into bowel care.
That's cool, man. Yeah, let's get into
Peter started the conversation already. Peristeen. call Sam every 2 months. Uh,
I get calls from Paracene,
but
and I don't even officially get it just because I've called them and inquired about it. But Coloplast will call me. I get a call every like maybe 3 or 4 months, like seeing if I'm set up yet.
and just to preface this, poop can be harder to talk about than pee. I'm just gonna say it. We're all adults here. If you're not, that's okay. Um, but it's real life, super embarrassing for me. It's probably where my like biggest struggle I deal with, like in terms of my vanity and mental health, and like embarrassment, is like my bowel care and like having accidents and stuff. It's something I've struggled with my whole life. It's something I mean, I feel like I have a handle on because I operate and live independently with some success, but it's super hard sometimes. I mean, like within like the last few weeks, like I've had, issues, you know, even doing my regular care, and it could just be really freaking hard to deal with. So didn't mean to get sidetracked with that little tangent, but the Parastene thing that we were talking about a minute ago is an enema system. And Shawn, you use that to do your bowel care. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can talk about that and then what I did previous to that. Or I'll start what I did previous actually. So for 17 years, I used magic bullet suppositories, which are a good option for a lot of people. But for me, took 3 to 4 hours, gave me a lot of different just stomach cramping and different things. But that was the only option I thought there was for a while until I found the Parastene. And the Parastene, like Tom kind of briefly said, is basically an enema system. And my issue with previous enema type systems that I had tried is I can't keep the water inside of me long enough for it to be effective. So with the Parastene, it actually has like what they call a rectal catheter, and that goes up inside of you, and like a catheter, like an indwelling catheter, it has a balloon on it. So once it goes in, you can inflate the balloon, which holds it in there and kind of stops it from the inside. It blocks the water. Like I still do get some leakage a little, like it'll go around a little bit, but very little. It allows my body to retain enough, um, and I can like hear it and feel it shifting and moving in my stomach. Like when I get like the little air shift, I know like all right, it's working. Like that means it's going up in there. Like I get like the water, the air is all moving around inside of me. Um, and honestly, that has been so much. Like I said, it was 3 to 4 hours of suppositories. Um, I now do 20 to 30 minutes max with my bowel care. Like, so that's it. Like, that's on a bad day, it's like 30
And
minutes.
it also doesn't trigger AD super bad, right?
No, it does not give me. Well, okay, I will say when I'm doing the water and inserting into like for the pumping, the initial like 500 mil, because I do 1,000 milliliters of water that goes in. That's how big the bag is. Um, the first half of it for me is a little bit uncomfortable. Like I'm getting AD, like I'm trying really hard to relax so that no water does want to force it, like push out and like put too much pressure. Um, and I have occasionally on days when I've had really bad gas and just things going on, I have gotten like high levels of AD during that process, like to the point where I got blotchy on my stomach and chest. Like I was getting like a headache, and it actually scared me a little bit. It only happened, I think it's happened 2 or 3 times. Um, and it was just really bad gas and like pressure in my stomach because I was adding the water and there was just like this space. I guess there wasn't, you know, a lot of space in there. Um, so during that initial period, I get some AD, but from that point on, and once it starts coming out, and then through the day, no, I don't get any because there's no chemical. There's nothing that's causing cramps and different things inside of me. It's just the water. So once I get that water out, I'm good. Like I feel fine pretty much for the day. I don't have any weird stomach cramping and stuff like I got for the suppositories.
So I don't do the Parastene. I do like regular Fleet enemas, which is just like once you get at the store, it's like smaller amount of liquid. There's no like pump system or whatever. But that issue that Shawn and Bobby were talking about being able to like retain the enema, like for whatever reason my body does like pretty effectively. So those like work for me with some success. Um, I I used to do suppositories and then enemies, which was like a mini enema. Again, it's like a chemical. It's the ducosolate, whatever that chemical is. Like
Isn't that
again,
more almost like it's like a hybrid between like a suppository and enema, isn't it?
it
Like
is because it's
it's got that.
liquid. It's like you administer like an enema, but just a small amount of liquid, and it's an irritant. Like it irritates like the tissue to stimulate, your bowels. Um, any kind of irritant, um, it can be really difficult for quads, especially because of the vagal nerve that is right in that area, and I think just can trigger a lot of stimulation through your central nervous system. Again, I could be speaking out of turn. That's just like my wishy-washy science going on here. But I experienced AD doing my bowel program too. Part of it's from sitting in my shower chair, like it's sitting not normally, like my body's bony and my butt hurts when I sit on that thing, and I think that's like part of it, and part of it is like the ditch stem, and then like the you know irritation or the discomfort that might go along with the enema. Now, water is about the least irritating thing you can use to help stimulate your bowel program, and that's why I think it's probably the most effective solution. Where the Peristeen comes in, that's different between something like a fleet, is it's a higher volume, meaning like it's closer to like a liter of water versus like however few hundred milliliters like a fleet enema is,
Yeah.
and it's administered a little bit more slowly than like fleet. So it's like just over a couple of minutes that it's administered. But what that allows is the enema to go a little higher up into, I think, you know, and better evacuate you. It gets higher up. The issue with suppositories, enemies, even enemas is it can clear out, the stuff that might be right there, but in a couple hours you could still have an accident because you didn't effectively, cause enough stimulation or, you know, do maybe you need to do that again, do another enema, whatever it is. But the thing with the Peristeen is it just administers a larger volume of water that gets higher up and better evacuates you. This is like from what I hear, and again, like talk to a lot of quads and a lot of pairs. It is the most effective bowel care solution out there that like causes the least discomfort. It can, again, unfortunately, through the insurance and because it's kind of new, one of the more difficult things to get through your insurance. Shawn isn't able to get it through his insurance. He has to go through some different means to get it,
I
but
actually just had to buy a new pump on online, and Peter just said they have a new one called the Peristeen Plus, and that's maybe why. Because last time I looked up online, they were like 350, and when I looked it up and bought this one, it was 250, which is still a lot, and sucked to have to buy. But I think because they maybe have a new one out, I might buy up a couple of the old ones. Or Peter, you got some old pumps you can send me, man? Because my first pump lasted me like a year and a half, but it's now not working right, so I had to buy a second one.
I I have to
Oh, the
find
old
the name
catheter
of
said
it,
fit the
but
new one, so they changed the
there's
whole
another
setup.
system. There's another system that I think is more popular in Europe. It's actually like electronic. I came across it, I think, through some like Abilities Expo website that I was looking through. But I'm gonna have to track the name again down because I wanted to mention it. Again, it was mega, mega expensive, but seemed like a very like kind of high techy, cool, effective, you know, Peristeen. Um, in any event, that's how I manage my stuff. And then Bobby, you have a colostomy, correct?
I do.
And it's been semi-recent. You haven't had it for too long, right?
No, no. I
Nope.
started out with started out the old-fashioned way with suppositories, and it was the 2 hour process. No matter how I did it, if I did it every day, every other day, every third day. It didn't matter. It was just a 2-hour process, no matter what. And really, the first 20 minutes is all the good, okay, we got evacuated. But it was all the leftover mucus and whatever, all that crappy stuff at the end tail there that I just wanted to make sure I got out before I got dressed, because early on, right away, I just discovered, do not get off this toilet until that is done, until I see. I just called it clear. Make sure everything's clear. Nothing brown, So I did it that way, and at first it was 3 times a week. When I really got into playing rugby and traveling, I started going to do it Thursday night, Friday travel, or Thursday night travel, did it Thursday morning, came home on Sunday nights or Monday morning, and I would be trying to get it done. So then all of a sudden I just started doing this Monday and Thursday. And it was great. It was great for years. I did try the Enemas that you were talking about, Tom. They gave me too much AD after, for a day. My blood pressure would just drop way considerably throughout the day. It just took like a half a day or most of the day to get back into feeling norm, like I wasn't gonna pass out or anything. So that wasn't a good option. Down the road, we heard about the Parastine. And like Shawn, it did not. My insurance did not cover it. So I did the route that Shawn does: order something online through eBay, and tried it. The first time I tried it, it was a dream. And after that, just couldn't evacuate. We'd do the water, the catheter in there, wait, undo the catheter. Nope, hardly anything came out, and I was just like, and then a lot of times I was blowing up the catheter, or the catheter would stay in there, and all of a sudden it would pop before I was done, ready to pull it out. So I was just, I got frustrated. And that was, year 26, 27 when I started trying to that. And then I don't know. I'm not going to put that hand in hand. I was trying that, and then would have to okay, let's put a suppository finish. But shortly after that, I just started getting, and even before that, so I know it wasn't the Parastine, but it was just, I was getting stomach aches. I felt like I was bloated all the time. I would, do the regular, get a regular good amount done. And then 2 hours later, after I was dressed at work, I would just feel like, why do I feel like I have to take another crap? This is ridiculous. I feel like I'm bloated. I just look like I got a quad belly after 33 years. It's happened, not like Shawn, but he's all flat. But it just looked like I'd come home and I would telling my wife, I think I'm gonna give birth to air, or something, man. And it just was painful after a while. So, I heard about the colostomy, didn't want that attached. I already had the suprapubic, just like another thing. Well, I'm so uncomfortable. Let's just do it. So 4.5 years ago, I think, or coming up, I know I did it in December. So it's coming up on 4 or 5. I kind of losing track with COVID and thereafter that. But so I just decided to get it done. And turns out it was the best thing I ever could have done. I love it. It's easy. It's easy to maintain it. Now I have so much more time in the morning for myself. It's just amazing in the sense that, with the suppositories too, and really it was a 3-hour process by the time I got in my shower chair, got over the toilet, did that, got cleaned up, maybe took a shower, or definitely take a shower, and then get back in the bed and dress. It was a 3.5-hour process when you do all that. And now it's just, taking a shower every other day. And that takes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops of actually by the time I got on my chair. So really the shower and everything takes an hour. Getting there, getting in, showering, and then getting out about an hour. And that's including taking off my colostomy patch and bag right at the very end of shower, wash really good around that area, because it is a patch on my stomach, and down there I have hair. So sometimes I'm shaving in the shower, which is, like grab my razor. So I have one razor just for around my colostomy that I make sure I don't have it near the other sink. So I don't want to get those two messed up. But, I shave carefully around it, and I put like a cloth over, a 4x4 over the top, and it holds. It's kind of sticks to uh, the stoma, and roll back into the bed, get on the bed real quick. And the first thing I start doing is drying around that area so we can put on a new patch and bag. During the day, it's like at night, we or myself will peel off the bag, just a little wipe with a baby wipe around the ring, and pop a new one on. Now, I keep having troubles with these quad hands that I can't snap it quite where I want. So a lot of times my wife's like, yeah, snap, snap. And it's just so much cleaner, so much easier. I'm not saying it's the perfect thing. There's been a time or two where it's I just went too much right away because of just it finally went, and the patch wasn't holding quite right at night, and it peeled a little section off that it got somewhere, or something called pancaking, where it just comes out and it's a little bit on the more rough side of your bowels, and it just pushes the patch up. And so a hard member of your shit is just sticking to your patch and belly. And you just have to peel off, easy to clean, because it's, boom, boom, put a new one on. That takes clean up and everything takes 15 minutes. So it's just, a lot of save time. And then really it just made me feel better overall. I don't feel bloated. I don't, retain the air anymore because it just comes out naturally. And sometimes, I can lean over and hear it, like I call it burp or fart. And, it sounds like a fart, and, just like you kind of look around and most people don't know what it is. And so they're like, what was that? I'm like, I don't know. But it doesn't happen as often as some of my other buddies. I have a buddy that we'd be sitting in a meeting and his was going off all the time. It was just like, oh man, I'm so glad I don't have that. But it really was a time saver, feeling better overall, and just kind of wish I did it during when I was playing rugby and traveling a lot. It would have been like so much easier than bringing a portable shower chair, calling somebody to get a nurse. It just would have been so much easier. And then the case for my wife and I, it would have just been so much easier. So I just find it, I'm loving it now at my older age. It's not for everybody, but I am finding that people reach out from on my Instagram, you guys out there that are years plus, and just, either one, they're just tired of doing it the old way, or two, the old way, they're feeling like they're not completing their bowel and feeling bloated like I was. So,
That's what I was at the point where I was looking into that. I was like talking to you. You were telling me, how much more you were liking it, like after your first year or so. And that's where I was getting to that point with the suppositories, because it was just hard for me. And I just want to make a quick note before we send it to Ashley and Nikki here. I actually do. So like you said, sometimes it won't come out for you. Sometimes it works perfectly for me. Other times I do have to do a digital stimulation still. I usually have to do like 2 of them. And I've even had times where like even that was not quite working. And I have a couple of extra fleet enemas around here. And if I shoot a fleet enema up at the end, like those things just instantly come back out of me. So when I do one of those, it will like that's like when I get like the worst days it gets. And that'll actually even go to like 40 minutes if I have to do a couple extra stims and a fleet or something. It does take a little longer. So just a side note, doesn't work perfect every time, even with the Parastene for me.
Couple things. Hip Crip asks, Nikki, you look cold in Chicago. What's the temp? And Nikki and Ashley, what's the temp in Chicago? Is
I
it
think
chilly?
it's like, I want to
It's
say it's
cold.
like, wait, as she's looking, but it's
It's a
cold.
high. Well, no, I guess. I mean, they might not. It's a high of 56, low of 46.
56.
It's also nighttime over there right now because like they're a couple
Yeah.
Yeah,
hours
and it's
ahead, so
freezing.
the sun's setting, which always, quads and Paris, we struggle with our cold temperatures. And Derek, we talked a lot about bladder stuff early on. We've been talking about some bowel management stuff. But bro, I know you've been dealing with some bladder stuff lately, and I saw you post on your story you were just at a rehab hospital. Um, where you get some help for it? How is it? If you don't mind sharing. If you don't want to share publicly, no worries too. But we appreciate you coming in and saying what up. Um,
And that's what's crazy. I was messaging with Nikki and Ashley earlier. It's like 101 degrees here in Rancho today. Like, I couldn't even turn my air conditioner off for the run today because it was just going to heat up too much in here. Even running that for like an hour before the show, it only got down to 85 in here, and I was like, nah, I can't shut that off. And like, it'll be 95 by the time I'm done with the show. So we are in like polar opposites right now on different sides of the
For
country.
real. We're all
hey,
bundled.
I want to go back out to Chi-Town though. I'm ready for the cold weather. Uh,
It's
now,
coming.
ladies, my mom would slap me across the face if I ever asked the woman after her bathroom habits. Now we are,
I'm dead.
whatever you guys want to share. Um, but it's like newbies, kind of like with the bladder stuff, like new in the game. What's been your experience with that stuff? Like, have you found, like a routine that works for you guys? Like, just share whatever you guys want to share. Like, if you don't want to share, too much, like, don't feel pressured. Dun dun dun.
I'm thinking how I want
I'm gonna put them on blast because I saw in one of their vlog videos a whole thing of fleet enemas getting packed in one of them. So I know they
Yes.
use a couple of fleets.
Yes.
I saw it in the vlog. So
We definitely use the fleets.
Yeah, we use the fleet. I'm trying to think like.
Okay, I'll start.
Yeah, you start.
So when we first got
ours are
injured, well, I know,
different. I'm trying to think how I
when
wanna
I
say
first got injured, I was using the bullets. I'm like, what were they
Small
called?
spores, yeah, magic bullets.
magic bullets.
Same thing as you all said. It was taking 4 hours. I said, there's no way, no how, no ma'am. And I asked around, joined side groups, and that's when I learned about the enemas. And that has been a game changer. Not only that too, I feel like when I was using the bullets, I felt like I was having accidents. Since I have enemas, I could probably count on one hand how often that has happened since my 3 years being injured. Or like, I guess, when did I start using that? Probably like 6 months after my injury when I started using the enemas. And I don't know, they've been a game changer. I go to the bathroom, TMI, but like every other day, I am a para. I'm the only para on the show. I know that. And I do have a little
Quap
bit of
squad
feeling.
represent. We represent the
Right.
Quap squad. Quads and
I have
paras.
a little bit of feeling where I kind of know, like, since I do it every other day, I can kind of tell when I have to do it like a day in a row. So, but I'm lucky because I can feel it a little bit. I feel the pressure. I know that it's coming. I know, and that's the same thing kind of too. If I'm like out and about, I can kind of feel and I'll know, okay, I should probably go home and like maybe do my bowel program tonight or tomorrow morning. Like I know I can kind of gauge it based off the feeling that I have, which I know I'm the only para, but
I found that that's similar for me. It wasn't always that way because I did my bowel program every day. But I changed it up to I didn't want to do it every day. I changed it up, and now I've found out that like I can kind of tell. Like if I wake up in the morning, like I can usually know like I'm good. Like I don't need to do my care today, or like no, I should probably do my care today, or like that night, like if I'm going to lay down, like if I should put all my supplies and stuff next to my bed because I may have to like handle my care or something. Like my body does give me some indication. So quads, listen
hey,
to Nikki over here because you can learn a lot listening to your body if you have mind to pay attention to it. Now again, This is like 25 years experience for me. Like I've paid a lot of attention to my body and my feelings and my diet and what I eat. There's a lot that goes into it. But
Mhm.
pay attention to your body. Give it what it needs, but not necessarily like, because sometimes that's what I was doing. It's like overkill with my care. Like I did not need to do it every day. Some people do. Um,
But
Yes.
you
but
know, one
I
thing, Todd, though, I can tell you with the colostomy, it is nice now that it doesn't get to that point where you're like, it's just constantly going. So it's just natural for my body to let the air out when it needs to let out whatever there it does. And that's where I got back all my feeling and feeling much better about my stomach region is because it just now went naturally. Now, I know beforehand it was the same, I mean, obviously on that third day, I'm like waking up in the morning like, oh man, I can't wait till I get on the can and go because I gotta go because I feel the pressure.
yeah,
And I used to do the bowel program 3 times a week, and I was feeling that way, and I was like, I think it's time to like do it more frequently. So and I do understand that like icky feeling, and I didn't like that. So I was like, just every other day works for me. And then I started to like listen to my body, and I knew when it needed to go. And then I did want to touch on being a female and getting your lady friend. Sometimes when that happens, I know I have to go either every day or sometimes I know I'm probably going to get constipated. TMI, but it's just the truth. And
Yeah.
it just varies from month to month. I'll never know. I kind of just gauge my body. I think that's why, like, especially, I mean, for anyone with spinal cord injury, we should like really listen to our bodies. But as females, we go through the 28 cycle. We have the hormones throughout the month. Your body changes. What you feed yourself matters throughout the month, and just like really gauge it. I mean, each, I guess, week whenever I get the lady friend, it's always different. I never know what to expect each month. Yeah, not each week, each
I
month.
hope you ain't getting it each week. Shoot.
And it's like you never know. Like sometimes I could have like, oh, I feel so sick. It's not, but I also remember like we were only injured 3 years ago, or 3.5 years ago. I know that's like this kind of the same how my body was before. So like on my period, I'd either get constipated or have to shit a lot. Like it just depends. So if you know that about yourself as someone who probably, if I know some people are injured younger, but if you're someone who knew your body before when you had your period, it's probably going to be kind of similar, is what I learned.
Interesting.
And again, just plan my days around that. Like I try to learn when I'm going to get it and know, like, okay, my body's going to be a little funky this week. So I have to either stay home, cancel plans, or just make sure I learn how to navigate around that. Like, am I gonna have to poop every day this week, or am I gonna be constipated and not feel good this whole week? So
yeah.
it always varies.
Nature, which is it?
Yeah. What is it this week?
And like sometimes they can change week to week like that, like sometimes like for whatever reason, I don't know if it's something that I ate, but like for a couple days I'll be fucked up or I'll just get fucked up for a day and then that'll fuck me up for a week because my routine and my program's just off and like I don't know, like everything's off or like I get constipated for some reason and then it's like a different kind of thing because I try to do my program and nothing happens or like then I have to deal with the anxiety and the fear like, oh God, am I gonna like shit myself if I decide to go out
Mhm.
today. And then the discomfort that comes along with being constipated, it's just like can be really difficult to deal with too. And that, I don't know, quad body, para body, paralyzed body, like it's the nature of living. It's the nature of eating and, traveling and, just living life. Things that can help is tracking your diet, tracking your body, just like what Nikki was saying understand and know what might happen, why it might be happening and stuff, and just listen to it and take the right precautions and measures and steps. And sorry if I'm super distracted, you guys. My laptop's about to die, and I'm trying to plug it in. So let me do that before I disappear.
For sure.
Love it.
And yeah, I was gonna say, you mentioned like the regular and diet and stuff. That's what this summer is probably one of the reasons why it's been a little bit up and down for me is because I've went to 3 different like week long trips over like a 2 month period, and all the stress of the travel, the actual travel, the diet while I'm there, everything just factors into all that like bowel care stuff. And like I do have issues basically before and after every trip. Like It's just like the
You know what?
stress
I think,
before.
Shawn, over time, I think that's the stress really did a number on my stomach and my bladder at the time. Like year 25, 26, I'm full time working, 4 days a week, but full time. And, uh, being at work all day, not, holding my bladder a little bit longer because you might be in a meeting, holding my bladder because, somebody's talking to me and I'm like, okay. And now it happened a lot where I worked at the rehab facility I worked at, Rancho. And then, the stress of getting up and early in the morning and make sure, I can go through my bowel care before I go to work. And hopefully, luckily I did not have accidents hardly at all. The accidents I had, which were maybe count them on my fingers, and I only have 9 fingers, were because I didn't finish that morning. And that's the only time I'd get in my car and all of a sudden one more squirt. And I'm like, man, but that was like in 25 years, like maybe less than 10. And so that was great. But then I realized it was all that stress. So once I figured out my bladder issues and now like, no matter what, I was going a lot more, uh, that helped. And like, no matter what, I'd be like, excuse me, I got to go to the bathroom now. And then for the colostomy, it's the same thing. That stress wasn't there anymore.
And I think it's like the same for going back to like being a woman. When you're on your lady friend, you're probably more irritable and like you're in pain, you have cramps. That
You
can
may not
also
be
play.
eating the best.
You may not be eating the best. I know when I have my period, I either been really hungry or I don't have any appetite. So it's like just learning your body over the time and knowing like, and then it helped a lot. I had a nurse tell me in rehab, like, remember how your body was before, because chances are, and she was speaking to me like a like female, like knowing when that's all gonna happen, like it's probably gonna be the same this now. So just keep that in mind, like when it comes to like doing any type of care, because I mean my bowel and bladder are way different when I'm on my period than it is when I can just go 3 weeks without. And that also like with vacations, like when I went to the Rolettes, I knew halfway there I was also gonna have my friend. I was like, oh, is this gonna mess everything up? But luckily, like all went good. But it's determined by like if I have an appetite or not. I'll know like how to gauge things. Or like if I'm stressed out that week, like, oh, it's gonna be harder to poop because you also need to relax when you poop.
Yeah.
The stress kills me. Like I swear I sabotage myself so many times by stressing out about this shit. And I'll start stressing out the night before I go to bed, like about my day, be like, if my morning doesn't go good, like I'm gonna be fucked up all day long. And I'm like stressing out the night before. I'm like, oh my god, Tom, you gotta chill, bruh.
When I was
Like,
doing suppositories, that was every single time I had anything planned the day of my bowel care, even if it was 8 hours later, 10 hours later, like I would have that stress and fear, like in that, and I have less of that now, and it helps because yeah, that's not fun.
And, oh
um,
man,
hey, what, Ashley, do you have anything you wanted to share?
So for mine's a little different. So like this isn't like TMI again, but I never really did have like I never really pooped. Like pre-injury.
Can't
Now
believe you
like
just said
I
that.
Are you the
like I just
first human being to not have to go number two? I'm just kidding.
like no,
Yeah.
it's a problem. Like it's I don't know what's wrong with my body,
It's
but
not
I
a good
just
thing.
yeah, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Like I need to get it checked. But like
Oh God.
my bowels are
In college, you'd
pretty
be calling.
what? And
In college, you'd be calling like, I can't poop.
I haven't
Oh,
pooped in 3 days. So for me, thankfully, I've been lucky. Like I can probably like count my poop accidents for my 3.5 years on my hands, and I can always gauge it because as long as I'm eating right, eating my veggies, drinking my water,
But that doesn't even matter because you just don't poop.
but I just don't poop. So it's like really, it's easy for me. Like I'm like that's a topic that like for me I got pretty lucky on because
yeah.
I poop 3 times a week, and for the most part, never really have accidents, and it all works. And the 2 days that I do get a break from pooping, I just I don't feel bloated. I feel fine, and by the third day, it comes out. And I do use the enemas, the fleet enemas, like Shawn was saying. So, and that seems to work. Before I was using the bullets, and like with like we were all saying, that just took forever. So the enema seems to work for me, and to me that works for me because I don't have a lot of poop, so there's not a lot of water that I need. Like I literally use half of an enema.
Wow.
Every time I poop. So if that gives you any indication, I use half of an enema, the fleet enemas. So.
And then too, I think it was important to know like the time of day. Like
yeah,
you go at night.
Yeah,
and I used to go at night, but that was when I was like playing around with my bowel program. Like I wanted to kind of see, I was trying different things out, and then now I do it in the mornings, but it was the same like Shawn had said. I was scared sometimes like to have an accident. So when I was playing around with it, so I was like, I'm going to do this at night. And that way, through the night, if I have an accident, at least it's while I'm sleeping and not while I'm out and about. But when I figured it out, now I do it in the mornings because I just like the feeling of like getting it done and then showering after and going about my day.
Well, for you, because you won't feel good too if you don't poop.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I feel fine. But mine kind of changes depending on care too, because I require someone to like help me with it. So it kind of depends like when someone can help me. But hopefully they can come. My 3 days a week that I need them.
Yep.
2 hours, whatever.
I can relate to that too as a quad. Like requiring. It's just I don't know. Like I've tried to do my care independently, and I can to measured varied success depending on the environment that I'm in. Hotel, not so much. My room in my apartment, where I'm like got everything set up for me. Like yes, it takes me a long time and is a lot of work, and is just not really realistic. It's something that I wanted to know that I could do in the event that I had to, but it's not something I'm really ever inclined to do independently if I could avoid it because it's just so freaking hard. Bottom line. I can clean myself up if I have an accident as well. Totally possible if you're a quad, even if you're, rocking some quad paws and, some limited upper body. You got to get some strong shoulders, but, it can be. Go ahead.
When you do it, does it take longer than when you have a caregiver helping you?
Yeah, like 2 to 3 times as long.
Okay, wow.
If I have a caregiver in the morning, like my regular person, like I'll be catheterized, like in the bed, up, do my bowel program, shower, dressed in my chair, hour and 15 minutes. If I'm doing it on my own, I can't shower, so I'm doing just basically a bed bath to like do all my cleanup, and then to undress, transfer, dress, do all the cleanup, everything in between, all the chucks, all the supplies, all the stuff, all the crap. 4 hours probably. 3 like in my apartment, 2 or 3. If it's like not like a big issue, but I don't know, like it's some freaking work, you guys. Like it's the hardest thing I've ever tried to do independently, and I'm still kind of limited success with it.
So when you do it independently, you're using the suppository, not the fleet.
Yeah, when I do it independently, I
just
do
thought so. I didn't think there
suppository.
was any way you could do the fleet, but
No, and like if I had like a better way to like, just manage that like from my bed, I absolutely would. But again, like it's just not really feasible. I don't know, like so when I went to Houston, that's how I did my care with the caregiver. Like I didn't have a shower chair and like do it how I normally would. So I had the caregiver help me with a suppository. And that's how I did my care the 2 mornings that I had caregivers in Houston. And I did have one accident like that Friday that I had to deal with on my own in the morning. But that was because I didn't have care that day. And honestly, my care went great. Like, so I switch it up. Like, I do the fleets most of the time, like when I have my regular care routine and stuff. I switched it up traveling because I thought it would be easier and convenient. And that was successful. And the times that I do my care independently at home, I'll use a suppository as well because I can just administer that myself. And it's I've had issues with suppositories, just like the regular issue we all have. Where it's like I'll go and then like I'll get dressed and I'll get up and then like an hour later I'll have a small accident and it's like fuck, and that's like a pain in the ass. But again, don't do it too much. I like got a similar routine to Ashley's where it's like 3 to 4 days a week now. I try to make it 3 if like my body's good, but 4 if like
Mhm.
I need it. And then the other 2 I just rock. And I don't know, it's like it's been a change this last 2 years, and I'm still trying to find some balance with it. I deal with accidents more than I want to, but it's usually once every couple of weeks. And a lot of times my accidents will happen at night, majority of the time. So um, you know, that's easier because I'll just wake up and deal with it in my bed. I'll have my supplies, and then it's super embarrassing, and I don't even care anymore because it's just part of life. But like I'll wear some briefs sometimes too.
Mhm.
Um, like I wish it didn't make me feel embarrassed, but gosh, your my brain's such a bitch sometimes. But it's all good. Um, but it's something that gives me security, gives me comfortability in knowing that like if I'm not confident with my care, if I'm not confident with my tummy, and I still have some plans and I want to go out, um, I know that if I have an issue, it's not going to be like immediately obvious, like immediately have to deal with it, like super embarrassing and like in the way. So it's like, and again, like it's something I can conceal and isn't like out there for the world until right now, and anybody that watches this. But it's all good because it gives me confidence and security to be like to feel better when I'm trying to go out and be independent. And that is literally like the purpose and the goal of stuff like that. So again, if it makes traveling or going out and things like that easier, anybody who might struggle with the vanity surrounding that kind of stuff, I feel you. I live it with you. I just try not to let it get to me. And
No, Tom, I'm gonna piggyback off you because I still do. I'm sure Shawn saw that in our video too. I have no shame in my pull-up game. Um,
same.
I
You just
when I
gotta
first
own
got
it.
injured, I tried the no pull-up game and I was for leaking a lot, and I did not like the cleanup of cleaning up everything on my chair. I was
Yeah.
like, put on a pull up. That's all. Usually, I can catch it before it even gets through anything else.
Yep.
Just change that really quick, wipe everything up, and you're ready to go. For me, I personally liked that better than dealing with
It getting everywhere.
it getting everywhere. Like, I tried that. I did not like it. I was like, I don't care if I don't pee on myself for 3 weeks. I'll wear this pull up because I'm not going to deal with it that one time it gets everywhere. Like, I'm just not.
Yeah. And
Like,
so like I'll mix it up too. Like I had my care the last like 2 days in a row. Like I feel really like good, confident with my care, like my body feels good. So like this morning I put on some boxers and some shorts instead of like a pull up and some shorts. Um and it's just like day to day, like whatever you're feeling. Like if I know I'm gonna be out and like I'm just like feeling kind of iffy about it, like it just literally eliminates that stress in my mind because it's just like Nikki said, it's like provides like a stopgap and that like I can usually address the situation before I gotta deal with the fucking cleanup of the clothes and God forbid the wheelchair because that is the
yeah,
god awful worst is when it gets on your seat cushion and it gets on your wheelchair and you gotta deal with that because it's just so much extra work and like pain in the ass. So I would so much rather just take a simple step to protect myself in that instance and you know it just makes everything easier. And that's like the point of that stuff. And just to like kind of give a little synopsis to everything, we've talked about a lot of different solutions to your bowel management and your catheter, urinary management. Different types of catheters, suprapubic, intermittent, Mitrofanov, like Foley, bowel care, it's like colostomy, enemas, enemies, suppositories, different, ways of going about it, different frequencies of taking care of it. Whatever the best solution is, whatever works best for you. We try to highlight them all, and you can obviously I'll tell like we all do pretty different stuff to manage our care, even if it's all there's some overlap in some places, but everyone's injury is different. Everyone's body is different. Everyone's paracelsus is different. Their digestive tract, the way things move through them, the way their bladder works. It's all very individual. So we're just trying to throw paint at the canvas and hope that some of the stuff sticks and like some of it's good information for you guys. But the only real way to find a meaningful solution is to figure it out on your own. And not when I say on your own, I don't mean like you're figuring it out by yourself. I mean, you have to look at yourself individually, talk to other pairs and other quads, and find out
Yes.
other alternatives. But
Preach.
at the end of the day, you got to find what works best for you, and own it and stick to it and figure it out. Because what might work for one of us, might not work the best for you. But there is something out there that does, and we want you to come on the show and talk about it next time if we didn't cover it, because we're trying to cover everything, all the bases.
Yes. And there is a way
Uh,
to hide your pull up when you're wearing tight clothes, ladies.
Yes,
DM
we
me.
know how to hide the diaper dick, baby.
Nice. So yeah, follow Ashley and Nikki for those tips and tricks, ladies.
Ashley, you're the greatest, dude. Like, just hell yeah. You just gotta throw it out there. But for real, that's a big part of it. We wanna I want to do a episode talking about fashion and clothing and good clothes and clothes that work, because I'm the same way. Like, if I gotta wear a pull up like or something that day, like I got my shorts and like my particular clothes that I wear that like cover it up and like make me feel okay. So yo, I just want to comment on Nikki and Ashley real quick. Just big props to Chi-Town Twins for coming through. Like, I think it takes some really incredible bravery and strength to come on and talk about these topics. Not that Shawn and Bobby don't deserve the praise too, but especially for you guys coming on, representing the ladies, some different kind of stuff, but also being new to this and talking about it, and talking about the process and the change. It's so meaningful, so helpful to those listening, even us. So I just want to thank you guys for coming on and sharing with us, because I know that it's like definitely beneficial to a lot of ladies out there and just everyone in general. So thanks, you guys.
Yeah, thank
We
you guys.
appreciate it.
To wrap up real quick, Tom, on one of the questions somebody asked, if I no, I have a super pubic like Shawn, and clothing was part of the reason why I did super pubic at the time. There was two reasons. It was one, I wasn't able to hold anything. I would just leak everywhere and just never held. And then I had the condom cap that broke down. Then finally somebody came in 3 months after my injury, and I wasn't going to be able to cath. I was, with a halo on at the time, and them trying to show me. So finally, my therapist brought in somebody with a super pubic, and right when he says like, those tight pants, you'll never get them off to cath, or access to cath. And then also, I don't have to worry about when I have sex. So I'm like, bring on the super pubic, Right. Yeah. Now your partner might be like, holy crap, you have a catheter? And I'm like, yeah, just move it to the side. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. So that was the two reasons. So fashion does have to, come into play sometimes. At the time in the 80s, we were wearing those stupid tight pants, and it just didn't work. So fashion does fit into some of this, and that would be a great topic, Tom.
You're telling me the reaction isn't, damn, what's that sexy tube coming out of your lower abdomen, baby?
Most of the time,
if you find somebody like at a piercing convention, they might be into it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta find your crowd.
And my wife, before we got together in a sexual way, she did a little research and saw a Foley catheter, and she's like, I'm gonna have to like pull that out. Oh my god! And so the first night we were together like that, she's just like, oh hell yeah, nice, all right, So she was kind of excited about it,
That wasn't meant to like be offensive to anybody. Like, I always just joke around to like make light of these things. It's like one of the ways that I deal with it, make it all easier for me. That being said, like that should be the reaction. Like, it's not something to be embarrassed about. It's not something that is like gross or weird or different or odd. Like, it is different than the norm, but just because it's different doesn't mean that it's just not something else that is unique. That people have no problem dealing with. So just joking, people. We always just joking.
And Tom, if I wasn't married, I've been married for a while, and that I got my colostomy after. But if I was single guy and had the colostomy and a super pubic, I'd be like, oh man, nobody is ever gonna.
That was one of my concerns with when I was looking into it and talking to you before I found the Peristine, because I'm still single. I'm like, yeah, I gotta wait till I get married, and then I'll bring in the colostomy.
Yeah, it did make it easier, but I'll tell you the way I was feeling. If I was at that time not married, I'd be like, I got to get this done.
Yeah.
I just don't think I could have carried on like that anymore, and they've been like, it is. I just hope they love me for who I am. Like they like the chair. The chair doesn't bother them. The suprapubic didn't bother them. Let's hope that all the trifecta doesn't bother them. And trust me, there's some pretty decent people and great human beings out there that would not make that a problem.
That's how real love is, people. It's like it just all comes with the territory. It's like, if it is like a deal breaker for someone, you don't want to be with that person anyways, because let me tell you, they probably don't have like some other great traits about them.
And to be honest, it's not for everybody, and that's a whole nother topic. When we come into our dating relationship, no, this situation is not for everybody, and I wouldn't want to put this on anybody who's not up for some of the challenges that go with being an SCI. And I think Angry Quad said it somewhere in the chat, but quality of life, that's what it is. And that's what you got. Two dogs running around now. So, but
you're good.
I know we're trying to wrap up and talking about bathroom situations. We should wrap up because it's been hour and a half before the last time.
Yeah, we got to get out of here real quick. I was just going to answer. Derek asked free flow or with a flip valve. We both use leg bags. I do know people that clamp off their suprapubic and like actually use it almost like intermittent cathing and just let their bladder fill and empty. I do not do that. I just let it fill into a bag. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'd be in distro in 5 minutes after a clamp.
Shout out Cheryl. Thank you so much for tuning in while you're at work and listening. We appreciate it so much. You guys are all awesome. And that's like, shout out everybody in our chat. Caesar, we're going to hook you up with a beautiful person, dude. Don't worry. We're going to find you someone.
If you want to connect with others.
If I can meet somebody, you can meet somebody. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Hey, Caesar, you said you got injured at 20. Now you're 26. Like, bruh, you're young. You chilling. Yeah. You got plenty of time to play the field. Be young, man.
I got injured at 17 and got married at 30. So plenty of time. Don't worry.
I'm about to turn 30 in 2 weeks, Bobby. What does that mean?
It's time for you to. I know who your girlfriend is.
Marriage.
I'm not. I don't know. Marriage is scary. But that's a whole nother episode.
Right,
everyone, we love you guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, Nikki and Ashley. Thanks so much.
Guys. And Brianna, thank you for that real quick. Let's just shout. Brianna reminded me one more time as we leave. We're just going to shout out our sponsors real quick. Urology professionals, mobility professionals. Thank you for the support from both of them. Check them out, you guys. If you guys, all their information is down below in the description. They're great companies. And they support us, support a bunch of stuff in the disability community.
Hey, one last thing. Wait, were you done with the ad read?
Yeah, we're good. That's cool.
Okay. I made a Live to Roll subreddit. I don't know if anybody's on Reddit. We're working on making a dedicated Live to Roll forum that's tied to the website, but I just gotta finish working on the back end. I want to have a little Live to Roll Reddit where people can make post topic suggestions and stuff. If anybody's a Redditor out there, go check it out. It's just Live to Roll on Reddit. Make a post. I posted out today's episode. I'm going to be posting some discussion topics and stuff, I think a couple times a week, hopefully. So it should be a fun place to just keep the conversation going. All right, last little plug. Go buy some merch, subscribe, hit the like button.
We'll be back every Tuesday with live show Tuesdays at 3:30.
Also, go follow Nikki and Ashley. And go follow Ashley and Nikki's story.
Their YouTube info's down below too.
Don't buy our merch today. Go over to LL Official and buy some banging t-shirts.
Buy some of each.
They
all match up together.
Yeah, they all match up.
You could buy that blue hat Bobby's rocking to go with their blue jumpsuit.
Hey, look at that.
Bam, right there.
Right.
And Bree, I'm in the chat. Don't worry about that dude. Screw that guy. Reject. It's all good. You'll find somebody better.
Wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Breezy. And we got a whole group of badass, cool ladies that are out here trying to help and support everybody. So you need any extra support and love, I'm sure you already reached out to them, but feel free to reach out to any of us. We're all here to help support each other.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys for watching again. We'll see you next week. Lips to roll, everyone.